You've probably seen the list. 8 purchases that retirees say changed their lives. A premium mattress, a gym membership, high-speed internet, home safety upgrades, an air fryer, Amazon Prime, comprehensive health insurance, and a travel budget. It reads well. And honestly, every single item on that list sounds reasonable. So what's the problem? The problem is that the list assumes you have the money for all 8. The median Social Security benefit for a retired worker right now is $1,976 a month. That's roughly $23,700 a year. And the average retirement savings for Americans between 55 and 64 is $537,560. Which sounds like a lot until you realize that money has to last 20 to 30 years. When you add up the actual cost of all 8 items on that list, the mattress, the memberships, the insurance, the travel, you're looking at nearly $21,000 in the first year alone. That's 88% of what the typical retiree collects from Social Security in a year. For some people, that math works fine. If you have a pension, a strong investment portfolio, and no debt, go ahead, buy all 8. But if you're like most Americans, working with a fixed income and a savings account that needs to stretch, then buying all 8 isn't a lifestyle upgrade. It's a slow drain. So today, I'm going to break this list down the way a financial advisor would if they were actually working with your budget. 3 of these purchases are worth every dollar. The other 5? They're not bad. They're just not a priority when money is tight. Let me tell you where this list actually came from. Lists like this one, the 8 Things Retirees Love lists, tend to originate from financial advisors, wellness blogs, or lifestyle publications that are writing for a specific kind of retiree. The kind who retired comfortably. Maybe they have a pension on top of Social Security. Maybe they have $1 million or more saved. Maybe they have no mortgage. For that person, buying all 8 items on the list is reasonable. They have the runway. But that's not the average picture. Here's what the average picture looks like. Social Security brings in $1,976 a month, about $23,700 a year. Savings of around $537,000 sounds solid until you realize that most financial planners suggest withdrawing no more than 4% per year to avoid running out. 4% of $537,000 is roughly $21,500 a year. Add that to your Social Security, and you've got somewhere around $45,000 to live on annually, before taxes, before health care, before anything unexpected. Now let's look at what it actually costs to buy all 8 items on that list. A quality premium mattress runs about $4,000. A gym membership runs $600 a year. High-speed internet is roughly $1,200 a year. Home safety upgrades, grab bars, better lighting, non-slip flooring, typically run $2,500 installed. An air fryer is around $150. Amazon Prime is $139 a year. Comprehensive health coverage through Medigap Plus Part D averages around $7,500 a year. And a travel budget, even a modest one, is $5,000 a year. Add all of that up, and you're at about $21,000 in the first year. That's 88% of the annual Social Security income for the typical retired worker. If your retirement income is $45,000, you're spending nearly half of it on this list. And that's before rent or a mortgage, groceries, utilities, or a car payment. So the trap isn't that the list is wrong. The trap is that the list doesn't tell you who it's for. It was built on the assumption of unlimited discretionary income. And for most Americans between 55 and 65, that assumption is simply not true. Here's what tends to happen. Someone sees the list, decides they deserve it after decades of work, which is fair, and starts buying. The mattress first, because sleep is important. Then the gym membership because health matters. Then the internet upgrade. And before they realize it, they've committed to $10,000 to $15,000 a year in recurring costs that are very hard to cancel. That's not protecting your retirement. That's quietly shrinking it. Now, I want to be clear. Not everything on this list is a mistake. Some of these purchases are genuinely good decisions. But the one that trips people up the most, the one that gets recommended most enthusiastically and delivers the least actual value for the typical retiree, is the very first item on the list: the premium mattress. So how do you actually decide what's worth buying and what's not? I think the most useful way to look at it is through a single question. Does this purchase reduce a future cost, protect your health, or make your home safer? Or does it just make life more comfortable? That's not a judgment on comfort. Comfort matters. But when you're on a fixed income, the purchases that hold their value are the ones that prevent bigger problems down the road. A hospital bill, a fall, a medical bill that wipes out a year of careful saving. I used to think a premium mattress was the best investment you could make for retirement. You sleep a third of your life. Why not sleep well? I saw clients spending $3,000, $4,000 on a mattress and thought, that's smart. Then I started seeing something I didn't expect. 3 clients in a row, all of them over 60, bought thick, heavy premium mattresses and within a year were complaining. Not about sleep quality, about their backs, about how hard it was to change the sheets, about the fact that the mattress was so thick and heavy they couldn't flip or rotate it themselves. One told me her husband had to call their son to come over every time they needed to rotate it. They stopped doing it. The mattress started sagging in the middle, and the back pain they bought it to solve got worse. I was wrong about that recommendation. The real investment is a mattress you can actually maintain. That's the kind of detail that doesn't show up in a top 8 list. So here's the framework I use now. Think of every purchase in one of 2 categories. Category 1, purchases with high return on investment for a fixed income retiree. These are items that reduce future costs, protect your physical safety, or keep you out of a doctor's office or a hospital. There are 3 of these on the list. Category 2, purchases with low or neutral return on investment. These are the items that provide convenience or enjoyment. And there's nothing wrong with that, but they don't protect your financial floor. There are 5 of these. Take Bob and Linda. They're a couple I worked with. He's 62, she's 60. About $500,000 in savings, $2,000 a month from Social Security. Comfortable, but not wealthy. They came to me excited about the list. They'd already bought the mattress, a 12-inch thick model that cost $4,000. A medium firm mattress with an adjustable base would have done the same job for around $2,000. That's $2,000 they don't get back. If you're finding this helpful, consider subscribing. Over the next few sections, I'm going to walk you through which 3 purchases actually move the needle, and why the other 5 are a lower priority when your budget is tight. Here's the broader context that makes this decision more urgent than it might seem. In 2025, Social Security gave retirees a cost of living adjustment of 2.5%. That's the raise built into the system to help your income keep up with rising prices. But in 2024, the inflation rate specifically for retirees, measured by what's called the CPIE, which tracks the spending patterns of people over 62, came in at 3.1%. So your income went up 2.5%. Your costs went up 3.1%. That gap is small in any single year, but it compounds. 5 years of that gap, and you're measurably behind. 10 years, and you've quietly lost a meaningful chunk of your purchasing power. This is the part that doesn't get talked about enough in retirement planning content. The math on fixed income isn't just about what you have today. It's about what you'll have in year 8, year 12, Year 15, when healthcare costs are higher, when your body may need more support, and when your ability to go back to work is much more limited. Every discretionary purchase you make in the early years of retirement is a trade-off with your future self. That's not a reason to live miserably. It's a reason to be selective. The retirees who feel most financially secure in their late 70s are usually the ones who made deliberate choices in their early 60s. Not extreme choices, just deliberate ones. So with that context in mind, let's look at what the math actually shows when you compare two different approaches to that 8-item list. Let me show you what these two approaches look like side by side over 5 years. Path A is the full list, all 8 purchases. In the first year, you're spending about $21,000. Some of that is one time, the mattress, the home upgrades. But most of the recurring costs, internet, insurance, travel, memberships, go up about 3% every year with inflation. Run that out 5 years and you've spent roughly $112,000 on this list alone. Path B is the selective approach. Only the 3 high-return purchases. A maintainable mattress for around $2,000. Comprehensive health insurance through Medigap and Part D at about $7,500 a year. Home safety upgrades for around $2,500 paid once. First year total, about $12,000. 5-year total, roughly $50,000. The difference between those two paths over 5 years is about $62,000. Now, $62,000 might not sound dramatic until you think about what it represents. According to Genworth's 2025 Cost of Care Survey, that's roughly what assisted living costs for a year in many parts of the country. It's a major home repair, a new roof, an HVAC system, without having to finance it. It's a medical emergency fund that doesn't require you to call your kids for help. That's the real trade-off. It's not about depriving yourself. It's about deciding whether that $62,000 sits in your account earning interest, or whether it disappears into 5 years of subscriptions and a mattress you're struggling to maintain. Bob and Linda went with Path A. They bought the premium mattress, signed up for everything on the list, and felt good about it for about 6 months. Then the mattress became a problem. Then the recurring costs started feeling heavy. By year 2, they were trying to figure out what to cut. I remember a client, different person, similar situation, who spent $5,000 on a bucket list cruise the first year of retirement. 6 months later, she needed a $4,000 dental implant. She had no cash reserve. She put the implant on a credit card. That's not a story about bad luck. That's a story about spending sequence. The big discretionary purchases came first. The unexpected essential came second. The order matters just as much as the total. Let's stress test both paths with something that happens to a lot of retirees. You have a fall, or a chest pain scare that sends you to the emergency room, or a root canal turns into something more complicated. The average Medicare enrollee pays around $6,500 out of pocket for medical costs every year, according to data from AARP. That's the average, in a normal year. One bad event can push that number much higher. Say it's a $10,000 medical bill. Not catastrophic by healthcare standards, but real money. For the Path A retiree, the one who bought everything on the list, that $10,000 is a crisis. They've been spending heavily on recurring costs. There's no cash buffer sitting there. They either pull from retirement savings earlier than planned, which triggers taxes and potentially a higher Medicare premium the following year, or they go into debt. For the Path B retiree, the one who chose selectively, that $10,000 is uncomfortable but manageable. They've been spending about $8,000 to $9,000 less per year. They have a cushion. They write the check and move on. That's the difference a single unexpected event makes when your financial cushion is thin versus adequate. Bob and Linda felt that difference in year 2. They had a small medical situation, nothing severe, but it cost them about $8,000 out of pocket. They had no reserve left. They had to pull from their savings. It wasn't a disaster, but it was a wake-up call. They started looking at what they could trim from the list. Now compare that to a couple who took the selective approach from day one. When the unexpected medical bill came, and it always comes eventually, they absorbed it. No panic, no debt, no early retirement account withdrawal. They just handled it. That's what financial security in retirement actually looks like. It's not about how many things you buy. It's about how much room you have to handle the things you didn't plan for. So let's talk about which 3 purchases actually build that room and exactly what to look for when you're buying them. Okay, here are the 3 purchases from that list that I think are genuinely worth prioritizing, with specific guidance on what to look for and what to avoid. The first is a mattress, but not just any mattress. The key spec that most lists don't mention is thickness. A 12-inch or thicker mattress looks impressive in a showroom. But if you're over 60 and sleeping alone, or if you or your partner have any joint issues, a mattress that thick and heavy becomes difficult to manage. You can't rotate it easily. Changing the sheets becomes a workout. And if the mattress starts to sag, which they all do eventually, rotating it yourself becomes nearly impossible. I bought a $3,000 mattress when I was 58. I was convinced it was the right call. Within 6 months, I was waking up with back pain I didn't have before. I couldn't figure out why. Eventually, I realized I'd stopped rotating it because it was too heavy to manage alone. I ended up sleeping on the couch more nights than I care to admit. I learned that one the hard way. What actually works? A medium firm mattress, 10 inches thick or under, with a simple adjustable base. The adjustable base helps with acid reflux and makes it easier to get in and out of bed. Total cost, $1,200 to $2,000. If that's still too much, a firm mattress from a discount retailer for around $500 plus a $100 mattress topper does the job. The second purchase is comprehensive health insurance. Specifically, Medigap Plan G paired with a standalone Part D prescription drug plan. Monthly premiums run $200 to $300 depending on your state and your age when you enroll. If that's out of reach, a Medicare Advantage plan with a low out-of-pocket maximum is a reasonable alternative. Why does this make the high-value list? Because the thing that wipes out retirement savings fastest isn't a bad stock pick or a bad real estate deal. It's an uncovered medical event. Medigap Plan G covers almost all of what Medicare doesn't. It's not cheap, but it's the one purchase on this list that directly protects your nest egg. The third purchase is home safety upgrades. Grab bars in the bathroom, motion sensor lights in the hallway and stairwell, non-slip mats in the bathroom and kitchen. Professional installation runs $1,500 to $2,500. If you want to do some of it yourself, grab bars are about $50 each and LED motion sensor night lights run $20. Falls are the leading cause of injury for adults over 65, according to the CDC. One fall that results in a hip fracture can lead to surgery, physical therapy, and potentially months in a rehabilitation facility. No mattress, no streaming service, no gym membership is worth more than not falling. You might be thinking, what about the air fryer? What about Amazon Prime? Look, I get it. Those things are nice to have. And if your budget allows after the 3 high-value purchases, go ahead. But those items don't protect you. They add comfort. There's a difference. Bob and Linda made the switch in year 2. Dropped the premium mattress upgrade cost, kept their health insurance, added the grab bars. They told me it was the first time in 2 years they felt like their retirement was actually on solid ground. If you want a simple checklist of these 3 purchases with specific product guidance, comment the word checklist below, and I'll send it to you directly. So why does a list like this work so well on us? Why do smart, experienced people read it and feel compelled to buy everything on it? Part of it is simple social proof. When a financial advisor or a lifestyle publication says, "Readeries love these 8 things," the implicit message is, these are the things you're supposed to have. To skip them feels like falling behind, like you're not doing retirement right. And there's something else underneath that. After 30 or 40 years of working hard, deferring vacations, skipping upgrades, telling yourself not yet, retirement feels like the moment when you're finally allowed to say yes. The premium mattress, the cruise, the gym membership. You earned this. That feeling is real, and it's completely understandable. But the financial industry has spent decades training us to associate spending with success, with arrival, with finally having made it. And that association is expensive when you're on a fixed income. The cognitive shift that tends to help most people is this. Instead of asking, what purchases will make me happy in retirement? Ask, what purchases will keep me safe, healthy, and financially independent for the next 20 years? That's a different question, and it leads to different answers. I don't know everything about your situation. Maybe you have a pension I'm not aware of, or a rental property that throws off income every month, or a trust that changes your math entirely. For those people, this calculus is different. But for the majority of Americans heading into retirement on Social Security and a savings account, this framework holds. You're not being told to live small. You're being told to live deliberately. There's a meaningful difference between those two things. Once you see the list through that lens, the decision becomes simpler. Not easy, but simpler. And the 3 purchases that actually belong at the top of the list become obvious. If you take nothing else from this video, take this. Out of the 8 purchases that retirees commonly say change their lives, 3 of them are worth prioritizing when you're on a fixed income. A mattress you can actually maintain, comprehensive health insurance that protects you from catastrophic medical costs, and home safety upgrades that reduce your fall risk. The other 5, the gym membership, high-speed internet, an air fryer, Amazon Prime, and a generous travel budget, they're not bad purchases. Plenty of retirees enjoy them. But they're comfort items, not protection items. When your budget is limited, there's a sequence that matters. Protection first, comfort after. That's the whole framework. Retirement should feel like a reward for a lifetime of work. It should. But the kind of security that lets you actually enjoy that reward doesn't come from buying everything on a list. It comes from being thoughtful about which 3 things on the list actually hold their value. If this helped you think differently about how you're approaching retirement spending, consider subscribing. New videos every week, focused on helping you make smarter money decisions in your 50s and 60s.